Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about a pretty unlikely topic. I never thought I'd really have to talk about this, and I have said that before, but this is just weird, because again, like, this is another something I thought I'd have to talk about. We're talking about Waffle House today. How do I put this here? Waffle House is kind of like, it really, I don't know, man. Waffle House has got this reputation of being like this, like, ghetto equivalent of like IHOP, kind of, I feel like. But if you guys know nothing about like the Waffle House itself, I think Waffle House is like a kind of like a southern like breakfast place. I believe it is a kind of like more southern like place, kind of like how I think Chick-fil-A is also like a more southern like restaurant, like fast food place. Or Bojangles I know is definitely is one. But Waffle House is just kind of like it's just a breakfast place, but like the thing about it is that like it has a reputation of being like this ghetto like kind of place that honestly, from not only like stories you've probably heard but like personal experience, it's fucking scary, man. Now the reason we're talking about this is because I was actually kind of just browsing through Twitter and I saw that Waffle House was trending for some reason. I was like, that's kind of weird. Why the fuck is Waffle House out of everything trending? Well, apparently there was a fight between one of the employees and a customer at Waffle House. And when I say fight, I do mean like an actual like fist fight, like punches were thrown. Like it wasn't like, just kind of like an altercation where like, like they're saying shit and like getting into each other's face. Like there were like hands were thrown, man. It was an actual fight. We got an article here kind of explaining everything, but in all honesty, I don't really even need to read it. I just kind of told you the whole general thing, but let's go ahead and take a look at it here. A fight at a Waffle House in Atlanta went viral on social media over the weekend. A video shared on Twitter by ATL Uncensored has 18,000 likes and has been retweeted more than 2,800 times as of Monday afternoon. It shows two women arguing with another male customer who is sitting at the counter of a Waffle House located on Buford Highway. The video then cuts to the male customer being dragged out of the Waffle House worker by a Waffle House worker. Excuse me. The customer is seen throwing the first punch before the employee fights back, punching the customer multiple times. The customer then falls to the ground into a wet floor sign before getting up and continuing to fight with the employee. Now we do have the tweet here. It's not a very long video. It's like literally it's 39 seconds. So let's go ahead and just take a quick look here at what it has in store. I can't really understand what's going on because it's kind of incomprehensible, but the amount of people speaking and just like being like recorded on like probably a phone from a distance, it's really hard to hear what happened. I assume that this guy was just kind of being an ass. Maybe he was like, I don't know, maybe he was drunk or something, or maybe he just was, maybe he was just being a rude piece of shit. So he got kicked out of the Waffle House and then hands were thrown. And I gotta be honest, man, this is something that you like only see at, like, only Waffle House, man, right? Like, this is the only fucking place you'd ever think of hearing something like this, right? And you guys were probably like, well, you said Waffle House was scary, so why is it scary to you? It's like, I'm gonna go into a story I have. This is kind of a bit of like a secret little story time video I've got here. But again, Waffle House just has this reputation, like not this kind of like just known reputation of being like this kind of like ghetto, like in a sense unsafe place to be at certain times of the day. Like if you're at a Waffle House at like fucking like midnight or like 1 in the morning, like you're probably gonna see an altercation like this, potentially, right? Or like if super early in the morning, like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., something like that. I don't really know how long Waffle House is gonna be up, but like pretty much like hours of the night where like like somebody like with a traditional kind of like time frame, I guess, would not be at a Waffle House. That's when you'd see it happening. Now gather around, children. Uncle Nuclear Pie here has a story to tell you kids about the time he and his friends went to Waffle House, and ooh boy, this was honestly a very scary time for me and my friends. I'm not gonna say any names just in case they don't want their names on the internet, whatever. But Well, one day my friends and I were, this was probably like 2 years ago or like 3 years ago. We were having like a sleepover or whatever, and we went to go get food. And everybody, I wanted to go to, I think me and my friend, well, one of my friends and I wanted to go to Chili's, and everybody else was like, "Ooh, let's go to Waffle House." And they're like, "All right, fine, we'll go to Chili's with the guy." But one of our friends who was driving said, "Fuck it, no, we're driving to Waffle House instead." So we drove to the Waffle House that's right next to a cookout, another fucking shady location, and like fucking southern restaurant that's a shady location too. But we went there, and before we got out of the car, my friend who was driving was approached by a guy, and he was just out of it, man. I don't know what he was on or something, but he was not acting normal. This guy comes up and he's got like a backpack on. He's got like a leather jacket with like an empty glass bottle in his pocket. He looks like he's been just kind of hanging around outside for a few days. And he just starts talking to, my friend before we get out of the car, right? Like we're in the car, we just parked, we were about to get out before we could. This guy comes and, starts talking to my friend who was driving us. And he's talking like, he was saying some weird shit, man. He said one thing that was like, just again, like he had to have been like on some form of drug or something. We don't know, but it wasn't like a normal person wouldn't act like this. Like he comes up and he's talking, and then he tells our friend, he's like, "I'm on the run," and he's like, and my friend's like, "Why are you on the run?" It's like, "I know too much," and they want it's like they want it like he's like on the run apparently. And he's like they know that I know too much and they need to get me or some shit like that. And again, this guy looking shady as fuck, man. Like he probably was drunk. That's probably what the glass bottle was. I assume it was probably some form of alcohol that he just drank or like finished drinking recently, and he was drunk. He was just kind of like hanging out around the cookout in the Waffle House area because they were like pretty much right in like that same lot together. We saw him cross over when we left. But again, he was saying some shady shit, saying it like he's trying to avoid the law, and that he just knows too much information or something. So my friend, we finally stop talking and we leave, right? Like we're not getting out in that area. It's sitting down at the Waffle House. We fucking leave. We go to a different place. Now that place was another fucking Waffle House, but besides the point, we went to a different place and like we were driving and we're all just like in shock, man. Like I was fearing for our lives. I thought this guy was gonna go to his backpack and pull out a fucking gun or something. Like if like we tipped him off in some way, like he would have popped our heads. I feel like that's what I thought. And again, when we left, we saw him right. We saw him go to the cookout and start like talking to another group of people. And we know he wasn't part of this group of people because he was coming from a completely different area, right? Like he was just kind of like in the grass, like hanging out, and then he walks up over here and he starts talking to us, and then he goes over to cookout when we leave. My friend, we call like he called the police because he thought that people's safety would have been in jeopardy, and we were all like, you should do this. So on our drive, right, like we're on the drive, and he calls the police, and he's just kind of like, there's this guy who is, he was really shady looking. He was saying some weird things, and he was making some weird claims, and he's still like going around talking to other people, and like we think you should check it out. So and I don't know, like nothing really happened, like no news story broke out or anything, but we were again like that was a scary day for us, right? Especially like I thought it was very frightening. I feared for not only my own life but for the life of my friends, especially my buddy who was driving the car because he was the only guy he was talking to, right? Like he didn't address any of us. It was only him because he wasn't like he walked to the driver's seat, to talk to whoever was driving the car, and he only spoke to him. And again, I was so nervous that he was gonna like do something like pull a knife, a gun, try and like hurt him somehow. Like we were like all very like we were all just very like on edge, right? Like the entire time he was talking to him, no, like nobody said a fucking word. One of my other friends was in the front seat. There was five of us, right? So there's me and two others in the back, and then there's my friend driving and my other friend who was in shot. He was in the front, right? So the three of like he in the back, he's just kind of like looking but like not say anything. But like the three of us in the back, we just like put our heads down and just start looking at our phones. Like trying to like not like engage. I guess we were fucking like we were nervous, man. And again, back to my point of only at a fucking Waffle House would this happen, man. Like, again, there's no other restaurant I'd ever feel like this would happen. unless you're in like a really shady neighborhood. But we weren't in like a super like like shady, not as nice place or whatever. But like it wasn't like this isn't like the most like rural like urban area, right? This is a little bit like more on the like I guess on like the shadier side. I'm not sure like there it wasn't like shady, but like it was on the more like you know shadier like side, if you guys get what I'm saying. But again, man, like only at a fucking Waffle House would this happen. That was just I don't know, man. Like like you hear stories of like shit about like Waffle House being like like this shady place at night and crap like that. And it's fun because like when I was a kid, right? That was the place where I went to a couple of times with my dad and my sister for breakfast. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, Waffle House food, pretty like it's pretty decent. It's like not super expensive, and like there's like this one deal where it's like 7.50 for like waffles, toast, two eggs, like bacon pieces and hash browns. It's a pretty decent deal, and it's a pretty good meal. Like that's what we went. That's what we pretty much all got that when we went there, and it was pretty good. But it's just the atmosphere and the location itself that's just like a big red flag for like anybody to like just not really like go there. It's like, does that make sense? I don't know. I think I'm gonna wrap this up here. This was kind of like a different video than I normally do. This is like honestly, this is more of like a story time kind of video. I did talk about something that happened, but again, like you only say so much about like people fighting at a fucking Waffle House. That's it. But I thought it'd be fun to kind of give like a story. Do a little story time. That is a true story. That's something that happened. That actually happened to me and my friends. It was a scary. That was a scary like few minutes we were there. Like my God. But yeah, that was a different kind of video, and I hope you guys enjoy this kind of video. Again, like it is a story, I guess a more story time theme video. In the comments, if you guys like the story, like these kind of like story videos, and you want more, I could probably think of a couple stories that happened in my past or whatever that I could talk about. I was just kind of thinking of things I could talk about at the top of my head, and I got a funny Halloween story that that something kind of pretty fucking funny happened that one Halloween and like I don't know, like 5 years ago. But yeah, if you guys want to see more of that, leave it in the comments, and yeah, hit that like button if you guys like the video. Subscribe if you're new around here and all that jazz. We're almost at 100, guys. That's like 5 away. We're 95. We're 5 away from 100. I know to some people it might not seem like a lot, but I feel like that's a pretty big number for somebody like me, and a big accomplishment in a sense. Getting those first 100 subs on your YouTube channel. It's just a day you may never forget, or like the first 100,000, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying. I'm gonna end this here, guys. Thanks for watching all that. You can check the links for the Twitter. Yeah, that's it. Just Twitter now, not Twitch, because I don't stream there anymore. I stream here. You guys can get some streams here. If you hit that sub button and ring that bell, you'll get notified, so you'll know. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video.